Howdy guys, Gemini here and welcome to my first ever manga review and the kickoff to my new channel. Today we will be doing a review on Boruto Manga Chapter 1. So this chapter is primarily a recap of Boruto Naruto the movie, so if you've already seen the movie, which most of us probably have by now, then there isn't too much new information in this chapter, but we're going to start with the new information that we did get. So the chapter opens up with Boruto facing a new character named Kawaki on the destroyed Hokage monument. Now, the first new bit of information that we get is that Kawaki starts off by insinuating that the 7th Hokage has already been killed. This has a lot of readers and longtime Naruto fans curious of whether or not this is true, but as of right now, there is nothing to confirm this, so there isn't much to go off of. The chapter then proceeds with Kawaki telling Boruto that the age of the ninja is over. Boruto then takes out a headband and puts it on and opens his awakened Byakugan in just one eye, his right eye, and claims that he is a ninja, and that's when we go into the rest of the chapter. Now, I want to backtrack for a second because there's a couple of things that I want to point out here. First off, the headband that Boruto puts on is, most people probably already noticed, is Sasuke's headband. The interesting thing is it has an added scar to it that goes down the scar lining up on his eye. So it's kind of hard to say if whether or not Boruto actually awakened this Byakugan on his own, but going from what we've seen with like Kakashi and Obito, the scar on his eye points more towards that he was given this Byakugan. So that means someone either just gave up an eye or something serious happened to someone and he was given the eye during their death. I'm not going to get into this video about who may have given him the eye or whether or not it really is his eye, but that's something to look at. A couple other points to make is that he's using Sasuke's sword as well. It's a sword he had starting in the Boruto Naruto the movie, and you actually see it in this manga chapter if you pay attention. The other things that a lot of people have already pointed out is the new seals on their arms. It almost looks like a curse mark, but it acts different. It seems different in nature, and they're colored when they're activated. We don't really know what that is. It's pretty easy to assume that they have some form of senjutsu in them or sage chakra, just as the curse mark does. But at this point in time, we don't really know too much about going on with that. And then there's a popular fan theory going around about Kawaki being somehow a fusion between Naruto and Sasuke. I'm not going to go too much into this because, again, series is just starting and there is very little to nothing to back this up. But I do want to provide a good point that actually might support that later on in this video. So I'm not going to go too far in depth with this chapter and explaining the details about it because, again, a lot of this is from Boruto Naruto the movie. But there are a few new parts, like the parts with Moegi and stuff like that. A few things that I want to touch upon is there's a couple of character changes, like Hinata, her chest. I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this, if not every single reader of this series. That's a pretty upsetting thing to a lot of fans. A lot of fans aren't so popular with Sasuke's new design either. For the most part, I don't mind too much. I like Hinata's new design, but I definitely find it's odd that her bust is no longer there. And Sasuke, it's growing to me. I think it's something that over time people adjust to, but it's definitely different. But there are a lot of key elements to his new design that I actually really like. Like one of the new additions to his outfit that you could say is if you pay attention during the scene when he's walking away from Naruto in the Hokage office, he actually wears his scarred headband on his belt. I'm not sure if too many people actually picked up on that, but I thought that was a really neat detail. So as for the rest of the chapter, there really isn't much to go on. Again, a lot of it is the recap of the movie, and it ends on a cliffhanger with Boruto asking Sasuke to train him, but they actually went farther than that in the movie. So we could be expecting another chapter or two of more Boruto Naruto the movie recap. The thing about this chapter that I really liked is it put more of an emphasis on the technology advancement in the series. Uh, Originally, Naruto didn't have too much for creative technology, but now, just a few years later, they have all kinds of different things. Like you see a blimp in the background in one of the shots with Naruto. Naruto's on live TV, and they created this ninjutsu device. It's like a wrist gauntlet that allows you to use techniques with no hand seals or chakra. And they now have video games too. But I think the point of this is they're trying to set it up to show that there's going to be a technological revolution, more so than where it's at now. And I'm theorizing now that the theme of this series as a whole is going to be about man versus technology. In the beginning of this chapter, Boruto states that this is not his father's story. It's not the story of a boy who goes chasing after his dreams and becomes a Hokage and has a happy ending. He says, no, this is his story. So I don't think we're going to be seeing such a bright series as a whole as Naruto was. Yeah, it had its dark points, but it was a happier series, I guess would be the way to put it. It had a more brighter outlook on life. I don't think this series is going to be quite like that throughout most of it. It's hard to say yet, but that's what I'm thinking. Now, this brings me back to the theory about Kawaki, is if this is a technological revolution and there's all kinds of scientific advancements, then the possibility of a fusion between Naruto and Sasuke happening with their DNA seems a lot more plausible. Because in Naruto, we've already had Orochimaru doing human experiments and making clones and all this other stuff. So it doesn't seem so far-fetched to me that this could happen. I mean, again, not going to go too far into this, but I did want to make the point that it is a plausible theory, in my opinion, for Kawaki to actually be a created human. That pretty much sums up this chapter review. Hopefully we will get some more content in the upcoming chapters, but like I said earlier in this video, I foresee the Boruto movie recap going through chapter 2, maybe even chapter 3, before we get too much more that's going to be new information. Well, thank you guys for watching my first video. If you liked it, leave me a like, and I hope you guys stick around to see my future videos. Thanks for watching.